Festive greetings, our legion of elves and reindeer. Welcome to Podcast of Storm. We're talking snowmen, crazy stocking stuffers, and all around nerdy list members convene to talk and debate all things pop culture. With me, as always, is my host, the Jolly Holly Bookworm, aka the Authenticator, Dalton L. Mortimer.
Good evening and Merry Christmas Eve to everyone. This December has kicked my ass left, right, center, and sideways, and next year doesn't particularly look particularly promising either, but I'm going to focus on the fact that it's Christmas, and I'm going to enjoy myself, god damn it.
And I'm your host, Santa Claus Burglar, the brains pop culture. How's everyone doing tonight?
I am doing better than I could be doing because Brainstormer did in fact get me some Christmas gifts, which I shall open tomorrow morning, so it will still vaguely feel like Christmas morning. And another friend of mine got me some stuff too, but he said it would be a couple days late. So hopefully things will turn around and it will feel like Christmas tomorrow. I saved some eggnog and I saved some gingerbread cookies specifically for this, so hopefully it will still vaguely feel like Christmas.
Oh, hey, question. Did all of them already arrive, the 4?
No, just the 2.
Okay, they might be a little late then. I apologize on that.
No, it's like I say, I will have some stuff to open tomorrow that will still make it feel like Christmas, and other stuff will also come. Which would it have been nicer if it had all come like Christmas Eve so I could open it on Christmas morning? Sure, but
Well, that's
I
weird
don't mind staggering it as long as I have something to open and still feel like Christmas morning with regards to.
That's weird. Says everything was already delivered.
Well, no one has checked the mail in a while, so maybe that is a thing, or maybe the two packages that I have here contain more than one thing each. Maybe I don't know.
They said they were all delivered. Oh, hey, Giant Troll, good to see you. I'm doing well. Yeah, this will still be all delivered December 17th. So a week ago.
Perhaps multiple things got packaged in multiple packages is my best guess there. Either that or people haven't checked the mail in a few days, so maybe that's the thing. Either way, I will have something to open so that it feels like Christmas. And I sent this picture to Brainstormer. I don't know if we should pull it up here, but since my family are a bunch of Scrooges and we just didn't do a Christmas tree at all this year, I took an antique lightning rod that I have, because yes, I have one of those, and I jury-rigged it in a Charlie Brownian fashion to make a Popper's Christmas tree. So there.
Does it actually work?
The lightning rod? Yes, it would work if we took it outside and during a storm or some shit. For very obvious reasons, I have no intention of doing that.
I mean,
especially because it's a specialized lightning rod that has like a storm catcher ball on it that will break if it's ever struck by lightning. It's like an early warning system, and I don't want to break it. So yeah, it would work, but it's not going outside because I don't particularly fancy getting struck by lightning or having a really nice antique lightning rod be destroyed. So there.
I have family movie night, so we'll be a bit distracted. No, you're good, man. You're good. To be fair, we were supposed to have this done by Saturday, but my work has been like crazy lately. I've been doing so much overtime; it's been exhausting. So
yeah, I reiterate, this particular December, for whatever reason, has just kicked everyone's asses, and I would say I'm looking forward to 2026, but my horoscope says there's not really that much for me to look forward to in 2026, which is a bit alarming considering the whole move and everything, but hopefully my friends on the other side will come through and we'll be able to stalemate the stars again. So hopefully there's at least that to look forward to.
Oh, you Yeah, I forgot to ask. Are you doing any rituals tomorrow or?
Later tonight when my brother gets home, I'll ask him to light a candle for me so I can burn the packed paper that I started after Halloween.
Oh yeah, I remember those photos.
Yeah, the way it works is I um reaffirm my pact with Mab by periodic blood sacrifices, my own blood for anyone that's nervous about the phrase blood sacrifice there, and I ignite them on Samhain or Halloween, and usually on Christmas Eve because we usually do a Christmas Eve fire, which is very conducive to burning various incense and things. We're not doing that today, so I will start or tonight. So I will have to settle for a slightly redone version of the candle ritual that I do on Samhain. But yeah, I finished I finished all the blood sacrificing yesterday, and I dipped it in alcohol so that it'll burn better when we do ignite it.
Do you have any wrapping paper?
Mm, I'm sure my mom has some in her closet. Why?
I was just thinking if that could have been another like festive themed alternative to the Christmas flyer.
Eh, I don't think it would make I don't think it would make that much difference. Like I said, tomorrow morning I'm going to open the packages that Brainstormer has sent me, and wait for the other packages that my other friend is sending me. Um, and I'm going to gorge myself on cookies and eggnog and watch Christmas movies all day and stuff. And like I said, when my brother gets back from visiting his grandpa tonight, I will ask him to light the candle for me so I can burn the packed paper that I've been uh, giving blood sacrifices to since Halloween.
Um, sorry. Ugh. So yeah,
I mean, there's a reason why I use that phrase, both because yes, meme, but also because I literally do have friends on the other side. Specifically, Queen Mab and the four oath helping entities that I requested assistance with in relation to that bargain, which are the dog, the Saturn, Raziel, and Prometheus, respectively.
all right. So this is a Dalton centered episode on the fact that Dalton sent everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I've been too tired and wrapped up with work that I didn't really do any like searching or anything for anything.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of annoyance and a lot of rage built up over the repressing of my emotions with regards to the Christmas thing. So, good old fashioned therapeutic ranting is what must now happen.
All right. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is an allegory for late-stage capitalism. You
I
picked it.
mean, I mean, I am going to be amused to see them make an argument for this, but my first reaction is, what in the hell are you smoking? Like, like mistletoe and holly and things probably isn't the entirety of what you're smoking there, but we shall see, I suppose, moving forward.
Yeah. Um, Magic Christmas was sacrificed in 1964 for high profits. It's written by Matthew Miniaki and published December 17th, 2022.
No, the magic of Christmas persists long after corporations got into the act and existed long before even the birth of Christ, but that's, another issue entirely. But yeah, the holidays that are broadly grouped under the heading of Christmas, however erroneously, will continue to exist long after, probably, frankly, long after we stop being Homo sapiens, as in after we evolve into whatever comes next. The holiday broadly grouped under the heading of Christmas will still be here doing its thing. As for corporations getting involved and blah 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 blah, I'm going to say what I always say in relation to these sorts of articles that try to frame capitalism as the enemy of holidays. Generally speaking, what capitalism does is it finds a hole in that market and then provides products and services to fill the hole in said market. Is there some shaping of that hole via public relations? Sure, but they very rarely, if ever, make things out of whole cloth. Capitalism is not the enemy of holidays. Capitalism is usually the servant of holidays. People spend a bunch of money at Christmas time because they are inclined to, and all capitalism does in relation to this is provide products and services to fill that void. Moving on.
Alright. Oh. Question is, does Dalton send Mab a Christmas offering?
Yes, that is what tonight's burning of the pact paper that I've been saving up will accomplish. Basically, I use the papers as a storage device for all the energy I'm offering her, and then on days that are significant to her, Samhain because it is the beginning of her power, and in and around Yule because it is the peak of her power, I give that energy up to her and send it where it needs to go. Anyway, moving on.
Okay. At this point, most Americans are aware of the 1964 classic Christmas movie Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. There's even a song about it. In short, Rudolph is bullied by his red nose and exiled, only to return and guide Santa's sleigh through a foggy night. There are a bunch of zany characters that he meets in his journeys, but that's the bones of the stories.
Okay.
Well, it's all
small thing here. I may be in the minority here, but I do not like the Rankin and Bass Rudolph one. I prefer the 1998 animated Rudolph, which has Whoopi Goldberg as Stormella the Snow Queen, Eric Idle as a fox named Slyly, and John Goodman as Santa Claus, where in that version of the story, the reason why Rudolph's nose does what it does is because it's essentially a birth blessing from the sprites that cause the Northern Lights in that particular continuity. I much prefer that one to the Rankin and Bass one. The Rankin and Bass one never really grabbed me as a kid. I always preferred the animated one from 1998 that apparently no one but me remembers, which makes me sad. Anyway, moving on.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Well, it's all a bounce of goddamn nose. Sorry.
Irony, considering Rudolph. Blah.
Is that irony or is that just coincidence?
It's probably just a rather poetic coincidence, but for the sake of rhetoric.
Well, so I'm sorry. A little side thing here. I never understand irony because it's used so the word is used so.
Yeah, a lot of people just refer to anything that applies like figurative language to a situation irony. Irony is supposed to be when like expectation or literal definition is juxtaposed with some poetic or inverted definition of circumstances or something along those lines. Like when the audience knows something that the character doesn't in a story, that's referred to as dramatic irony, for example. But yeah, a lot of people just use irony when they mean something being poetically just, or like whenever any sort of figurative language or figurative conceptualization seems to rear its ugly head. But it's faster than saying poetic figurative justice or what have you. So irony. Anyway, moving on.
All right. Well, it's all a bunch of capitalistic nonsense. Rudolph was looked down upon by the other reindeer because they thought he had a freakish deformity. His father was embarrassed by him, his peers bullied him, and eventually he was ostracized from polite society to the point where he struck out on his own. He brought with him an elf named Hermie, who wanted to be a dentist and was similarly ostracized for his oddness.
Okay. And maybe this is me once again not being in on the joke when it comes to the Rankin and Bass. The Rankin and Bass Rudolph. But surely there must be a actual like economy, so to speak, at the North Pole. And you cannot earnestly tell me that no elf in the history of, Santa doing his whole Christmas thing has ever. You can't honestly tell me that there's no dental or medical industry at the North Pole for when the elves get sick or some shit. And if that is what the Rankin and Bass one is trying to sell me, I'm sorry, but my suspension of disbelief only goes so far. I can believe the like brownie style elves making toys and gifts and shit. I can believe in Santa Claus. I can believe reindeer can fly, and I can even believe the like magical glowing red nose thing. But if you expect me to believe that for centuries there has been a like settlement at the North Pole peopled by magical creatures, then there's going to be some sort of domestic economy for the North Pole. Yes, the main job of the elves is to make the gifts and things for people come Christmas time, in theory. But there surely has to be some sort of domestic economy for the North Pole. And if you expect me to believe that no elf has gotten sick or needed dental work in the like 500 years that Santa has allegedly been doing all this shit, then you can sell me a different bridge entirely. Please. Moving on.
Yep. On the way, they meet a wacky prospector, get attacked by an abominable snow monster, and find the island of misfit toys. Eventually, they wind up confronting the abominable snow monster as he attacks Santa's village, only to discover that he has a toothache, and Hermes' dentistry saves the day. Then,
Okay. Sorry, go ahead, finish.
And because a thick fog has rolled in, Christmas is ruined because the reindeer can't navigate the weather conditions. However, Santa realizes that Rudolph is uniquely equipped to guide his sleigh through the fog. Christmas is saved.
Okay, and this is the other thing that bothers me about the Rankin and Bass one. Did no one think of, wait, there might be nights when we need a beacon prior to this? I mean, I know in the song that's the thing, but like, in the 1998 version, Santa seems to realize that Rudolph is special before even Rudolph does, and therefore it doesn't come out of nowhere when the whole we need an extra beacon to light our way thing. also, it's much more explicable in that version as well, because the storm that causes issues for Santa in that version is not a natural storm. It is a curse done by Stormella the Snow Queen, played by Whoopi Goldberg, and that makes a lot more sense because you can't tell me that Santa doesn't have countermeasures for like stormy, rainy, or snowy nights if he's been doing this for however many hundreds of years he's been doing it. Whereas if it's a supernatural storm explicitly designed to screw up Santa's day, like it is in the 1998 version, that makes a hell of a lot more sense, especially again because in that version there's actually a mechanical explainer as to why Rudolph's nose is like that, which is as like a birth blessing from the sprites of the Northern Lights. So it's, to borrow a phrase from Uncle from Jackie Chan Adventures, magic defeats magic. Whereas in the Rankin and Bass version, no one seems to be aware that Rudolph's nose will ever come in handy ever, and that confuses me. Again, it's that thing of I can believe a lot of things for the sake of suspension of disbelief. I cannot believe that no one at the North Pole ever thought to themselves, "Gee, I wonder if that reindeer with literal magical powers will ever come in handy for anything." Dorp. Moving on.
Let's start with the obvious allegory for capitalism, Rudolph and Hermie. They're a pair of weirdos without skills and beliefs that are not useful to the capitalist machine that is Christmas. Because of that, they are looked down upon and forced into the dark corners of society. However, once it is discovered that their weird skills are useful to a set of unique circumstances, those skills are co-opted and exploited by the benefit of consumerism.
Okay.
For the benefit of consumerism.
Oh, dear God. Okay, here's the thing, though. Hermie's skills are mundane skills. They are an industry that every capitalist organization on the planet, apparently aside from the North Pole in the Rankin and Bass version, have and need and use. The only reason why the idea of elf dentists isn't a thing in the North Pole, even though it should be, because there should be some sort of domestic economy for the elves that get injured, sick, etc., is because we need this very childish, stupid allegory. And again, I understand that the allegory and the folktale aspect of it is part of the point, but there are ways to write a fairy tale better than just, even though it would make sense that there would be elves doing other jobs than just toy making, because there needs to be somebody to take care of the elves if they get injured, sick, hurt, etc. You would think this would have already been taken care of. But yeah, so no, Hermie wanting to be a dentist is not a FU to capitalism. It's in fact encouraging the economics of the North Pole, so to speak, to become more capitalistic because domestic industry ? So yeah, no, I'm afraid your Hermes abilities are weird or out of the norm for the North Pole thing only works because the writers didn't think it all the way through. And even if we do think it all the way through, all Hermes being a dentist accomplishes is the North Pole now becomes more like a functional capitalistic economy, because presumably he is being paid in something to do the dentistry. And okay, for the sake of I'm going to go here because I can go here and I have this card to play, so fuck you. Speaking as someone with actual disabilities, I have spastic diaplegic cerebral palsy and optic nerve damage that may even be quadriplegic now that I think about it, because when we went to get my disability analyzed to qualify for government disability money, the doctor looking at me said, "Has no one ever thought that maybe you're quadriplegic and not just diaplegic?" And And there we went. But point being, speaking of someone who has been the outsider because of his disability from time to time, I'm afraid I'm going to have to tell you to take this socialist snake oil you're peddling and shove it where the sun don't shine, because speaking as someone with disabilities, I actually want to be valued for my skills, interests, hobbies, and unique talents. That's not some capitalist propaganda. That's what happens when a disabled person manages not to have a gigantic fucking chip on their shoulder for the disability thing. And no, a system that doesn't operate by meritocracy and doesn't require people to be useful would not benefit me, would not benefit any of the disabled people I know. And what's more, most of the disabled people I know that have actual other skills to speak of would tell you to shove it up your ass. Because we actually do want to be valued as something other than oppressed little purse puppy victims. Thank you very fucking much, you condescending twits. This is like the people in the late 19th century who wanted freak shows to be shut down, and the main people who were arguing against the freak shows being shut down were the freaks themselves, because, to paraphrase something I think it was Tom Thumb said in relation to this, in any other context I would be locked in an asylum somewhere. Being on the stage lets me be able to make a living and makes me a loved fixture in people's lives. So all these pearl clutching people are doing is trying to prevent a man from making an honest living with his unique talents. And speaking as someone who has frequently found himself in that same mindset, yeah, I agree with Tom Thumb on this issue. Stop trying to make it difficult for a man to make an honest living with his unique quirks and talents and shit. Thank you very fucking much. Moving on.
Alright. And although the Santa in the movie is literally a magical elf that delivers presents for free, we all know and understand that Santa isn't real. Sorry, children. And the true magic of Christmas is the parents buying crappy toys for their kids. Yes, nothing says the most wonderful time of the year like two grown adults getting into a fist fight over a plastic thing that their kids will have forgotten about by New Year's Day. Jesus Christ, this motherfucker's cynical as shit.
Okay, sorry, yeah, StreamYard decided to kick me out. I don't know why. But
Okay, do you need me to read that? Or?
yeah, yes, please reread that.
Okay, hold on. Okay, and although the Santa in the movie is literally a magical elf that delivers presents for free, we all know and understand that Santa isn't real. Sorry, children. And the true magic of Christmas is the parents buying crappy toys for their kids. Yes, nothing says the most wonderful time of the year like two grown adults getting into a fist fight over a plastic thing that their kids will have forgotten about by New Year's Day.
Okay, if you buy your kids things that they will forget about, that is you being a shitty gift giver. Get to know your kids and try to find something that will actually make the holiday special to them, and that will fix the fucking problem. But also, no, you don't get to poo-poo commercial excess, because again, and I will harp on this as many times as I have to, all corporations and businesses and things do is notice that there is a hole in the market waiting to be satisfied and attempt to satisfy it. Do they occasionally try to tweak the hole a bit with public relations or marketing and advertising? Sure. But for the most part, they don't create things out of whole cloth. They try to base their marketing, if they're good at marketing and advertising, they try to base their marketing on things that people already are doing or already want. And again, if you, as a particular parent, decide to get your kids something they don't like or wouldn't actually want or don't find to be special, that sounds like a skill issue. Get good, scrubbed. Moving on.
Alright. Oh, give me a second. Uh, okay, this is emblematic of the ongoing march of capitalistic progress as new technologies are discovered. People who were formerly on the outskirts of society are suddenly allowed in. It happens constantly. Computer enthusiasts in the 70s and 80s were suddenly thrust to the spotlight in the 90s when computing really took off, resulting in the dot-com boom and subsequent bust. Video games, once seen as a uniquely children's thing, became something that was both more adult-focused and more monetizable via live streams.
Yes, and unironically, I'm doing the meme here. All of what you just described is a good thing. It's someone who doesn't fit the mold, proving the mold wrong and demonstrating that they do actually have merit and something worthwhile to contribute. That is a good thing. That is the system actually meaningfully functioning. There are problems with capitalism, especially the corporate kind, but it actually serving a market that was previously untapped and actually allowing people to meritocratically prove that they have skills worth monetizing is a good thing. What you were describing is a good thing, but you appear to be framing it as though it is a bad thing. And that is why you are wrong. You are framing a positive as a negative for no reason other than ideology. Moving on.
Alright, as COVID has highlighted the need for mental health resources, a whole branch of influencers have arisen as mental health advocates. ADHD, TikTok has become all the rage, with both legitimate influencers who want to help, such as Caniosaurus, and those who are more nefarious in their advocacy. Those of us who have lived with neurodivergence and were shunned for it are now having our moment, and Lord knows that plenty of people are exploiting that moment for profit.
Okay, when was this published? Does it say?
2022.
Yeah, no, COVID was pretty much over in 2022. Like, it ended full stop in the early months of 2023. So you appear to be one of those people who refused to give up the mask until society forced you to. And speaking as someone who is very much a neurodivergent on top of the disability thing, those of us with actual skills and merits to speak of actually don't mind being judged and would in fact prefer to be judged on those merits. Believe it or not, I don't want to be a sob story. I don't want to be Tiny Tim from A Christmas Carol, to make a festive reference. I want to be known for more than just he's the crippled kid. And the way that I go about that is by demonstrating that I have talents, skills, merit, and knowledge worth fucking spreading and worth hopefully monetizing someday. You don't seem to be aware of how utterly horrifying it is for a disabled person to only be known as the victim, as the crippled kid, as the oppressed one. Fucking hate that bullshit. I always have and I always will. Pity is one of the most nefarious things it is possible for a human mind to produce, because it is contempt. It is a superiority complex flavored and masquerading as love and tolerance, and it can go fuck itself. And that is the very definition of what you're doing here. It's like that thing I mentioned earlier about the sideshow freaks being the main advocates against closing the sideshows because they would rather be entertainers who were famous for their particular quirks than a victim in a poor house or a mental asylum. So yeah, no, you can take that toxic pity of yours and shove it so far up your ass you light up like a fucking Christmas tree. Thanks. Moving on.
Moving on. All right.
Yeah.
As happens over and over, Dungeons & Dragons having its moment right now, and all the nerds who formerly played in basements with out telling anyone or something very popular. Comic-Con and the MCU started the wave by popularizing being a nerd, and suddenly a bunch of nerds like me and my friends were vindicated and not ostracized anymore. Our skills
Unfortunately,
and knowledge
that's
were both useful.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Our skills and knowledge were both useful to the public. Lifelong comic book nerds could speak to the MCU's direction as experts, and monetizable. Everything from articles in major publications to selling older comic books and anthologies to catch a whole new bunch of consumers up on the canon.
In principle, what you are describing is a good thing, but also you are kind of oversimplifying the issue here, because there are a lot of nerds, and I can speak to this because we both have been them, who would rather see their IPs and their favorite things valued for their own sake, and people still, for whatever reason, find that weird to the point that they refer to you as something like a toxic fan or an incel when you say, no, this piece of art should not be morally or politically weaponized. It should be valued for its own sake on its own terms, and the things like intrinsic value, lore, and consistency with canon and consistency with character matter more than politically and morally weaponizing it for the sake of utilitarianism and for the sake of interpretivism and for the sake of art as a means to an end. So, in principle, the thing you just described is a good thing. Again, you were describing a good thing as though it is a bad thing. And two, it's not quite that simple, because quite a lot of the actual nerds, the ones that value their IPs and their fandoms for those fandoms' own sake rather than as a political or moral means to an end, still get the stigma of incel or toxic fandom, which basically mean the same thing as nerd in the modern, like, what people used to refer to as nerds, people just now refer to as toxic fandom or inceldom, because they want to vilify actual nerds. They just don't want to get caught vilifying nerds, because the nerds of the 70s and 80s proved themselves worthy by being incredibly successful motherfuckers. And so now, despite the fact that we can't use the word nerd to describe the quote-unquote toxic fans or incels anymore, we still need a moral disparagement word catch-all for them, and so the terms toxic fan and incel were coined accordingly. Moving on. Oh dear, we appear to have lost Brainstormer. I assume he will be back. I assume he will be back when his computer stops being an asshole. I almost said he will be back again someday, referencing Frosty the Snowman, but but no, I doubt very much that Brainstormer will melt in the interim, or has melted in the interim. Certainly not with me on the speed dial there. If melting ever becomes an issue, then I will be the one to fix it. Damn it!
What I missed?
Oh, nothing. Just me noticing you were gone and then immediately making Frosty the Snowman references. Because I said, I'm sure Brainstormer will be back, and then my brain immediately thought of the part of Frosty the Snowman that goes, he'll be back again someday. And then I went on a ramble about that. Anyway, moving on.
All right. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer did not start this trend. Capitalism has always exploited those who are useful to the money-making machine, but it highlighted it in stark contrast and predicted our current state of things, as Rudolph was excluded until he became useful. Anytime something fringe becomes popular, someone will monetize it and make it useful to the end-stage capitalist hellscape in which we live. Jesus Christ, this dude.
Sweetheart, what you again? You're not describing a bad thing. There is such a thing as corporate exploitation, And Lord knows corporations, especially when they get in bed with governments, are fucking despicably evil. But what you're describing is not exploitation, it is validation. It is meritocracy. It is people being able to bully the system into acknowledging them as and when they can do good things. And I know this is going to fuck with your brain, my dear, but those of us who have disabilities or other identity groups who actually have skills and merit to speak of would rather be acknowledged for those skills and merits rather than our identity or our victimhood. The only people who don't want to be acknowledged for their merits, skills, and abilities who are disabled or other minority groups are the people who frankly just don't have any. And I'm sorry, but if you don't have any merits to speak of, as callous as this makes me sound, but you deserve to fail a little bit. Because in the immortal words of the gamer's credo, get good, scrub. Moving on.
Alright, it is only when those of us who understand that we are being exploited for the benefit of our billionaire overlord rise up against them can we truly break our shackles and be free. End-stage capitalism for us all, and only through active resistance can we ever hope to be free of it. Jesus.
What precisely do you think we would be freed from? Because you have defined the idea of being acknowledged for your merits, talents, skills, and abilities as the problem, as exploitation. And I'm sorry, but I don't want that system to end because I actually have some skills and merits and abilities and things that I would really rather be acknowledged for than my identity or my victimhood. My identity and my victimhood can go fuck themselves. I want to be acknowledged as a serious individual with serious talents, skills, and agency to speak of. Thank you very fucking much. And I think I can speak for all the actually competent disabled people when I say that is true of most of us. Because again, speaking as someone who was born disabled and had to deal with the utterly batshit bullshit that is pity, you can go fuck yourselves. I don't want to be acknowledged for my victimhood. I don't want to be mollycoddled and purse puppied. I want to be acknowledged for my skills and knowledge and abilities because I actually have those and would like to see them be the focus of my identity, not my fucking demographic information. Thank you very fucking much. Moving on.
So thank you, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, for showing us the error of capitalism by example. Your terrible stop-motion animation, hammy voice acting will not have been in vain. Once we overthrow the oligarchs that run this country and institute our democratic, socialistic utopia, we will construct monuments to Rudolph the Red-Nosed. Rudolph of the Red-Nosed, the savior of America. Be well and overthrow capitalism out there. Jesus Christ, you fucking lunatic.
Yeah, no, we went all the way to Crazyville here. The island of misbegotten. Even so, like again, 2022 was roughly like if this was written in December to coincide with Christmas, the end of 2022, COVID was like 95% over. But more to the point, like, yeah, you went full like Antifa member there, and never go full Antifa member. No, I will. Okay, getting the easy stuff out of the way. Yes, the Rankin and Bass version has terrible stop motion. Yes, it is hemmy and cheesy, which is why I prefer the 1998 animated version. But in principle, the story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is a good thing. And not for nothing, but speaking as a disabled person here, I find Rudolph to be at least somewhat inspiring because it means that those very same things that make you a freak can also make you incredibly valuable, can make you incredibly looked up to and looked after, rather than world's smallest violin, Oma oppression, Oma disability identity, let's overthrow capitalism. The only people with disabilities that genuinely want to overthrow capitalism are probably the people who just can't make it in it. And yes, while some of that is a physical limitation thing, I can speak with experience here. Most people with disabilities that have some other attribute, whether it be intelligence, whether it be skill, whether it be a hobby or an interest they excel in, want to be acknowledged for those things and not the Tiny Tim pity party syndrome. I would much rather identify with Rudolph than I would with Tiny Tim. Thank you very fucking much. Okay, actually no. I will rescind at least some of my scorn for Tiny Tim a little bit, because even he is shown to be smarter than his years and is shown to be wiser than his years, partly because of the difficulties of his disability. I just hate that that's the only way that disabled characters are written as having any skill or any depth. Is the I am a morally perfect saint because of my suffering bullshit.
Alright.
Moving on.
Okay, hold on. Let me get the share screen. I'm starting to sense a theme with you here, Don.
Hmm?
So this is from disabilitywisdom.com. Rudolph, a
Yeah,
tale of disability, justice, or oppression.
I just typed Christmas social justice and I saw a bunch of Rudolph articles, so I thought, fuck it. It'll give me a chance to soapbox over this bullshit, so it'll work.
I'm trying to. Huh. Yeah, this was published December 18th, 2020.
Mm.
I think.
How did we not run into it back then, I wonder?
Actually, hold on. I think it's, I don't know. It doesn't have a standard like byline.
That's weird.
Even as a Jewish kid, I always liked the story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Each year, we ponder the life of one creature who was set apart from his peers by a highly visible difference, a lone red nose. It's a tale of coping at first with exclusion. It wouldn't let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games, followed by vindication when Santa realized that Rudolph's red nose was actually an asset for his team. At that point, Rudolph was not only included, but celebrated as a valued leader who will go down in history forever.
Yes, and both of those are good things. And by the way, just before this, the reindeers that are excluding Rudolph because he's different are framed as the bad guys. Any of this like anti-capitalist bullshit might make sense if they were still framed as like the good guys, but no, they're not. They are very, very much not. Both in the 1998 version that I really like, and in the Rankin and Bass version, the kids being the fawns. There we go. Fawns. Fawns is the word for baby reindeer. The fawns that are being dicks to Rudolph in the schoolyard are dicks and framed as dicks. In the 1998 version, there's even a like main antagonist jock reindeer called Arrow that basically is the central antagonist to the story until Stormella comes in later. But yeah, you might have a point if the fawns that are being dicks to Rudolph because schoolyard taunting were ever framed as in the right for doing so. But no, they're not. And by the way, in both versions, in both versions of Rudolph, the Rankin and Bass one and the better 1998 one, the girl who is his love interest, is marked out with particular positivity because she can see his value as a person marked. Person can refer to something that's not human. She sees his value as a person, as a sapient being, and doesn't dump on him like all the other reindeer does. Both, I want to say Clarice was her name in the Rankin and Bass one, and Zoe was her name in the 1998 one, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. Also, it must be said that in both versions, Rudolph isn't isolated and alone. He finds a community that will accept him, who are also weirdos. Or loners. In the case of the Rankin and Bass version, we have Yukon Cornelius, Hermie the elf who wants to be a dentist, the Bumble eventually, and the Island of Misfit Toys. In the 1998 version, we have the fox named Slyly, the polar bear named Leonard, Boone and Doggle, the comedic duo of elves, which frankly are my favorite characters in that one. But even when Rudolph is shunned from the normies, so to speak, he finds other nerds that he can hang out with, for the sake of the metaphor. And those nerds eventually come back to the normies, demonstrate their value, and basically get to do the I told you so dance. Now, mind you, Rudolph and company are not vindictive enough to do the I told you so dance, but in theory, at least they could, is what is my point there. Moving on.
Right. The tale carries obvious motifs that are relevant to the disability experience. Many of us have risen from exclusion to success and celebration when others in power recognize the gifts that we bring, not just despite our differences, but because of them. However,
Yes.
I've recently seen a critique of Rudolph's. Hold on.
Go ahead.
However, I've recently seen a critique of Rudolph's tale that is worth considering. To some disability justice advocates, Rudolph was successful because he was productive. His red nose provided the team with an advantage in efficiently delivering presents. Rudolph had carried some other visible difference that did not advantage the team. Would he still have received love and appreciation from the other reindeer? What if it had been a foggy night and the shine of his nose had not been necessary to advance team mission?
Yes, because if he had other differences that prevented him from demonstrating his merits, he wouldn't be able to demonstrate his merits. And again, I'm calling back to the fucking 19th century freak show example. The moralistic pearl-clutching disability advocates like this and here are the people who would prevent people like Tom Thumb and the various Siamese twins and freaks in the P.T. Barnum circus from making an honest living, and would condemn them to like a poorhouse at best or an asylum at worst. And no, I don't see a problem with Rudolph having to demonstrate merits, because as someone with merits, I would prefer to be acknowledged for my merits, not my victimhood. So yeah, no, you can go right ahead and fuck yourself, darling. The idea that someone needs to and gets to prove themselves is not a bad thing. It is in fact a good thing, and those of us who happen to be disabled, who also have merits to speak of, would rather be acknowledged for those merits than our victimhood or our identity category or a demographic category. Thanks. And this piteous bullshit can go fuck itself. Moving on.
Okay. When we talk about inclusion, we often focus on workplace inclusion, we'd like to excel the beliefs of hiring employees with disabilities who, despite appearances, end up being loyal, dependable, highly generative employees with special gifts for problem solving and moral ability. It can be tempting to focus our attentions on the super disabled athletes or high academic performance who shatter our expectations for what disability is about. But in the midst of this, the average disabled person can be overlooked. We might unintentionally devalue the life of the disabled person who cannot hold a conventional job or one who doesn't appear to be overcoming the disability hard enough. Everyone brings something good to the table, whether or not that thing is valued in our capitalistic society, our system, capitalistic system.
Sweetheart, if a person has merits, they can find a niche to exploit those merits. And most of us with disabilities that have merits to speak of want to be acknowledged for those merits, not for our fucking identity category. Just like any other person, if you're a complete fuck up and can't make anything meaningful of yourself, then the answer is, of course, the gamer's credo. Motherfucking get good, scrub. Or to put it in a slightly softer way, skill issue. Trust me when I tell you that being mollycoddled and pitied and frankly othered and treated with kid gloves your whole life makes it very, very hard for you to trust people. Because when everyone around you is doing the fake smile thing, you begin to just not trust people in general. I'm speaking from a lot of experience here. A lot of fucking experience. It took me decades to actually make good friends that I believed earnestly valued me for things other than, oh, he's the crippled kid and I feel so bad for him. So no, you can take this idea and shove it up your ass. Those of us who are disabled, who have skills, would rather be acknowledged for those skills, and the people without skills who are disabled should not be able to use their disability as an excuse to avoid getting good scrub. Thank you. Moving on.
During this most unusual holiday season, let's consider how we can truly appreciate every person we encounter, regardless of what we think they will be able to contribute in the conventional sense. Let us strive toward a world where all human beings are equally valued, not despite differences because of them. Best wishes of a warm, peaceful holiday season and a joyful transition into 2021.
No, this universalistic bullshit is frankly bullshit. There are people who are worth less than other people. Not because of identity, not because of race, not because of nationality, not because of IQ or whatever else the fuck, but because they demonstrably have less value than other people do. And doing this universalistic mollycoddling is just putting a band-aid on it. Trying to convince people with no skills at all that they're just as valuable as the high-skilled, high achievers does nothing but mollycoddle and pity them. Because here's the thing. When you see a person with actual merits, you don't need to defer to some universal thing. Because you can point at them and go, these are that person's merits, or these are those person's merits. But by insinuating that all life is valuable, really, all you're doing is telling a piteous, pleasing lie to people without merits. And that does not do them any favors. That's the mollycoddling, baby talking, piteous smile thing that I was just talking about. Do you think that disabled people can't tell when you're feeding them a line of bullshit just to make them feel better? Because, believe me, we fucking can, and it's fucking pointless. I would rather be told that I'm going to have to demonstrate my value than believe that you genuinely think that every single human is equal in value to the best and highest earners of us. The best and highest earners of us got that way because something about them was extraordinary. And you're either going to end up overinflating those you pity by creating inequality, or more likely, refusing to acknowledge the value of the people who actually do have skills and merits. And all that's going to do is probably make resentment on both sides, frankly. Because, again, as a kid who grew up disabled, I hated being pitied and mollycoddled and smiled at just for the sake of, oh, he's the crippled kid, you have to feel bad for him. Fuck that noise. It's one of the reasons I'm such an asshole. Because growing up, realizing that everyone was going to bullshit me made me assume that everyone was a bullshitter. And therefore made me exceedingly resentful, extremely iconoclastic, and an extreme loner, because I would rather be by myself than be fed a line of bullshit. And it took me decades to actually find people who don't go automatic pity mode because I'm the crippled kid. And thank goodness for them, but this bullshit needs to stop. You need to stop either lying to yourself about how equally valuable everyone is, or, and more crucially, stop lying to them. Because they know better. Most disabled people know better. They know they're being treated differently. And just because that different treatment is coated with a bunch of spoonfuls of sugar doesn't make it any less bad. It, in fact, kind of makes it worse because it teaches you that no one ever actually tells you the truth. No one ever actually wants good things for you. And all they're doing is an ego trip to make themselves feel better by coating the same disgust that everyone else has for you in a bunch of layers of sugar. And it's fucking horrifying. Thank you. Moving on.
All right, well, last thing of the night then.
Mm-hmm.
Those articles were really short.
Yeah, I was expecting them to be longer. Normally, those kind of crazies like to hear themselves talk more. And yes, I am aware of the irony. Thank you very much.
Alright, so Dawn sent these to me. They're from a YouTuber called Scully Films, or Scully Spooks. Basically do Dark Origin retellings of various characters.
And there's a bunch of Christmas-themed ones, so I figured it would be appropriate. And
Yeah.
at worst, they'll be entertaining. At best, they'll probably go on to inform my writing ideas for later. Because I know Brainstormer well enough to know that I can't provide him writing resources without it spiraling into a new idea.
I mean, I did watch these. Granted, it was kind of late when I watched them, so I wasn't really thinking much about them. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have anything. I don't have anything now, but
give it a week or two, and I'm sure he will. Anyway, moving on. Candy canes.
Mm-hmm.
Can you turn it up a little bit? It's coming in very quiet.
Oh shit! I might have actually. Okay, hold on. I might have forgotten to share audio. Might be my
No,
bad.
the audio was shared. It came in really, really quiet. So it's just a volume thing.
Well, let me check my volume then, because I usually have it on half. So usually, because it's usually pretty loud when it's playing.
Mm-hmm.
Forest, where he encountered
Better?
a
There we go.
mysterious
That's
figure.
better. Yep.
He made a dark bargain. He wished to be admired and seen. The figure twisted his wish, transforming him into a reindeer with a luminous, unnatural red nose. One stormy night, Santa found Rudolph, drawn by the eerie glow. But Santa wasn't the jolly figure of legend. He was a ruthless overseer of Christmas, seeking any means to ensure his yearly journey succeeded. Seeing Rudolph's glow, he enslaved the young reindeer. Year after year, Rudolph was chained to the sleigh, his glowing nose not a symbol of joy, but a cruel reminder of a deal gone terribly wrong.
I don't know what I can do with that. It just feels like it has a beginning, middle, and end there, so there's not really much I can add.
Yeah, I feel like this one is rather forced because the whole idea of Rudolph being a human first is really fucked. Um, and
I don't mind that. That's interesting. Kind of reminds me of,
and he,
in a weird way, a dark version of Rise of the Guardians.
a little bit. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, even if even if his living conditions are shitty, and even if Santa's a bit of a slave driver, he's still bringing joy and admiration to all the kids that believe in Santa and so on. So, I mean, there is that. I feel like this could have worked better if the dark elements had gone further, more like the Yule Man SCP, or if Santa himself was the source of the trick. It might have worked a little better because we don't know who or what made the deal, and I feel like that's the part that's missing. Is it would make better sense if it was some, like, maybe even Krampus doing it would work better. Because it just feels like a loose end. It should either have been Santa that did this to him, or somebody else related to like the holiday pantheon, so to speak. I think the smartest thing for them to do would have been set this in like Germany or Scandinavia and have Gryla do it to him. That would honestly work pretty well.
Next one then, because also I am going to pull up something that I just randomly thought of because I always bring these guys up whenever we have a theme. Actually, I mostly bring them up around Christmas.
Mm.
I'll bring it up after we're done with these.
Yeah.
Let me get the next one. All right, sorry. I don't know. I was being no. That was just that Don was just waiting on me. It was taking a minute to load. So this is another one. Dark Origin of Frosty the Snowman.
Mhm.
I feel like the the evil version of Frosty is that Jack Frost movie from like
Yeah,
the 90s
the
or
one
something.
the one with the dad who gets in the car wreck
No,
and is reincarnated as a snowman.
no. The serial killer that died and becomes a killer snowman.
Oh yeah, I forgot that one existed. Probably
A lot of people
probably
do.
could actually be in the probably could be in the same universe as the Santa Slays one.
has a certain level of camp to it. Yeah,
Hmm.
there is literally a scene where I don't know if I should say this one.
Go ahead.
Okay, Jack kills a woman by using his carrot nose.
Okay,
Think of that how you can.
that's a choice.
It's a scene.
Was the woman a member of the world's oldest profession?
No, just a random victim trying to take a bath. It's kind of a weird.
Feel like it would have been funnier if she was a prostitute, to be honest.
Yeah, look, you can look it up. I'm not going to describe it anymore. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Candy canes.
Snowman. It started with a desperate toy maker who crafted a magical hat to save his dying son. The toy maker shaped a snowman in his son's likeness and placed the hat atop its head. Frosty.
Actually, that is a good question. I know, like, it's kind of not the point, but do we ever get an explanation on the hat?
As to why the hat is magic? No. In the version I grew up with, he wasn't even a real magician. He was a stage illusionist. So we never get an explanation as to where in the fuck the magic came from. It's one of those things that Dalton would like to have, but probably not going to get because no one else cares. Like, we know that there must have been magic in the hat, for that is how the song goes, but nobody could be arsed to find an actual explanation for it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Can you guys? Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry. Excuse me.
Frosty was born, but it was not the spirit of the boy that inhabited the snow. It was something far darker, something ancient that had been lying dormant in the ice. Frosty roamed the village, luring children with his playful demeanor and promises of winter fun.
So Pennywise.
I mean, to be fair, that is technically what Frosty does do, and the mischief apparently gets so bad that the cops get involved. He led them down the streets of town right to the traffic cop. Didn't pause a moment when father stopped. So this actually, this going significantly darker than the original does make at least a little bit of sense here. Although
All right.
probably more like Krampus or something adjacent to Krampus than Pennywise. Of course, we don't know what magic was powering the hat, but I'm assuming some sort of ancient Yuletide pagan shit, because
Well, okay.
duh.
My point in the comparison of Pennywise is lowering the kids with the idea of fun. I mean, to be fair, Pennywise, to my understanding, never really tricked the kids. Was more into fearing them as he fed on fear psychically. Right? It was a whole thing. I know, but
Yeah, I don't really understand why Pennywise plays nice with them at first, considering that he doesn't feed on the joy or anything. He feeds on the fear. So one wonders why he is playing nice with them at first. Unless I guess if I was an interdimensional Lovecraftian spider, I would get bored after a couple centuries too. So anything to keep things interesting, I suppose. Which reminds me of the Mary Poppins and Pennywise are the same species meme. I don't know if you've seen those.
yeah, I have. It's interesting. Also,
It's
apparently
especially-
in
It's especially interesting because Mary doesn't kill them. She just takes the joy with her when she goes, it seems.
anyway, let me get back to the tab.
Candy canes.
Candy cans.
But once they followed him into the woods, they were never seen again. Villagers discovered trails of red staining the pristine snow, leading to nothing but silence and shadow. Frosty's laughter echoed through the frosty night, chilling anyone who dared to listen. The villagers tried to destroy him, but every time he melted, he would return with the first snowfall, angrier and more twisted than before.
See, I think here it would have been more interesting if they had found no blood or anything, because I feel like him just like eating their souls and leaving not a trace of them would be actually more threatening and more frightening. I guess this is one of those Hitchcock moments where there's nothing more frightening than an unopened door. But then again, it's also me wanting there to be more supernatural bullshit involved, and just straight up killing them is less entertaining than like swallowing their souls Evil Dead style or something. Or maybe if he turned them into snowmen a little bit like the Build-A-Bear SCP turns things into bears. So that way he would have a small army of like children's sickles a la the Yule lads from Grylo's folklore.
Or the. Yeah, no, actually, I can't think of anything else. That's pretty accurate.
And that way, the
I mean,
more
it's-
children he takes, the more disturbing and powerful he gets, or something along those lines.
Yep.
Is this the last one, or do we have two left? I think we have two left.
No, just one left. Elf on the Shelf.
Right, I don't think I sent you
And then
the gingerbread. You didn't. I didn't send you the gingerbread man one.
I didn't see that one. No. We'll do it next week or Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I am gonna, like I said, I am gonna pull up kind of a special thing I just thought of. That's just like, it's more like just kind of dumb thing we can watch that's Christmas related. So
Yep. Candy canes.
dumb being dumb, and he will mercilessly pick it apart.
I mean, I am what I am, and you know by now what that is. So
Yeah, I know. And change it. All right. Yeah.
candy canes.
Elf on the Shelf Dark Origin. I don't think I ever had an Elf on the Shelf, I'll be honest.
I didn't either. My youngest brother did, because he was the only one who was still a kid by the time the tradition rolled around. I always thought it was a bit cheap and cheesy because it's very obviously plastic. If it was like an old-fashioned wooden elf, that would, I think, give it a little bit more credibility, because it would have had a more like antique-y, ancient mystique. But it just being plastic really kind of ruins the thing for me. And I imagine has ruined it for a lot of kids.
Hey, don't.
Candy canes.
Candy canes?
Behind the elf on the shelf, Klaus, a devout and zealous toy maker, believed he had a divine mission to ensure families upheld the true spirit of Christmas. He crafted the elves meticulously, using enchanted wood said to come from the Black Forest. These elves were sentinels, tasked with spying on families to ensure they were kind, obedient, and reverent of the holiday's traditions. At first,
See, this is, for an example, precisely why I think it would have been more impactful if the elves were made of like antique-y looking wood rather than plastic. Because it makes so much more sense and fits more with the timelessness of Christmas, instead of being a very obvious 21st century marketing ploy, which I'm sure ruined Christmas for a lot of kids, because I'm sure that was the anti-red pill for a lot of kids, and I feel bad for them. If it had at least been a cool like wooden statuary thing that looked a little bit ancient, it at least would fit more with the timelessness of the holiday. Anyway, candy canes.
All right. Yep.
Thus, the elves did their job well. Their lifeless grins a reminder to children and adults alike to behave. But over time, the magic twisted. The elves began interpreting bad behavior in their own malevolent way. A child sneaking a cookie might wake to their favorite toy destroyed, or a chilling message scrawled in crayon across the wall. Each holiday, they continue to appear uninvited, their painted eyes always watching, follow for more dark origins.
I was honestly, when we stopped at the first half, I was into it because it kind of struck me as that could have been kind of the Michael Daughtery's version. I know Krampus and all, which is good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to deny that.
But if he ever wanted to expand on it, it could have worked that way, yeah. Or if Krampus had been an anthology kind of like Trick or Treat meets the Grinch almost, it could have certainly featured as an element there. Like I could see Krampus being the one behind the Elf on the Shelf actually, and using them as like spies and informants and shit. I assume that's Nelson in the chat because that's the only person I know of that could make a Diddy joke there. Yeah, I assume that's Nelson, the gentleman in the chat, under a new username, presumably. But your move, Brainstormer. What was the thing you wanted to end off on?
Yeah, give me a second. It's still loading.
Okay, or maybe not. I might just be forgetting somebody because he doesn't appear to know what I was referencing there. Okay, I am drawing a complete blank on this person, whoever they are. I apologize, but I don't really remember you. Unless you're just trolling, in which case, fair play for just trolling. But yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember anyone with that username before. Anyway, waiting for Brainstormer to open the thing. I assume it's having loading issues again.
Yeah, I'm just setting stuff up now.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, so we have an elf candy video from Robot Chicken. I completely spaced out on this other times, and I was only recently reminded of this because I watched a compilation of Christmas skits from Robot Chicken.
Mm. I was gonna say I remember you being kind of obsessive over Robot Chicken.
I grew up on it. I probably shouldn't have, but I did.
I only remember seeing a couple skits of theirs when I was a kid. Like it would sometimes come on after movies when I was watching stuff on movie channels, but I don't really have any skin in the game with regards to Robot Chicken.
So keep in mind, this is more the commercialized elves and stuff. So,
Which, if we're going for like actual Fae terminology, would be under the category of brownies or hobs or other like house Fae, rather than rather than the high lords and ladies of fairy, which are more along the lines of the She. Think Tolkien elves in those terms. Moving on.
Candy canes.
Candy canes.
It's a minute. Yeah, it's a minute and a half. So, and no subtitles, just because they're auto generated and those are never good. So,
Yeah. Candy canes.
candy canes.
Okay, I'm gonna go photocopy your driver's licenses while you guys watch this little video.
Welcome to Santa's Workshop. This isn't just the first day of your new job, it's the first day of your new career. Let's talk about worker safety. The raw materials used to make Christmas toys are processed below ground by a race of lizard men called Garlons.
I admit I do find the pun name funny because, Garland. It's funny.
Oh fuck! I have seen this skit for years and I never picked that up.
You see, this is occasionally why this is occasionally why I refer to us as using each other as secondary brains, because I cannot believe you didn't pick that up. But that's what I'm here for.
They're lizard men. I just assumed it was close to some type of punny name for a lizard, some form of lizard or lizard terminology.
It's a good thing I'm here, isn't it?
To be fair, we don't really have Garland on our. We haven't really used Garland in like over a decade or so.
We haven't used it in a while. We haven't used it. We haven't used it in a while either. Our like thing that wraps around the tree is usually a string of beads.
We just have it's like one of those trees that have the lights built into them, so we just kind of set that up.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we put ornaments on, sometimes we don't. This year we didn't. Mainly that's because one person set it up while everyone else was out because he had the time too. So.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, because my family are a bunch of Scrooges this year, I repurposed an antique lightning rod as a AirSats Christmas tree. I Charlie Browned it, basically.
Yeah. Poor man's Christmas tree, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's fitting, given your hillbilly status. So.
Fuck you very much.
I gotta make the joke. Okay, you set it up.
I am aware, but just as you are aware, I am contractually obligated to respond. Fuck you when you do.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, hey, don't set me up. You have
Although to be fair, in March I am moving into a small city, so you may not be able to make those jokes for much longer. Although it is one of the smallest cities in Pennsylvania, and I looked up the history of Wilkes-Barre, which is where I'm going to be moving to, and it made it onto a list of like the top 10 places in Pennsylvania you wouldn't want to live. And the irony is, of course, that Wilkes-Barre is still a step up from where I'm currently living. So there's that. I'll send you that video, actually. It's funny, and I'm sure you'll be able to find lots of things to make fun of me for. But,
fair enough.
Candy canes.
Candy canes.
The Garlons will eat you. They love to eat elves. On 9 separate occasions last year, elves took a wrong turn and were eaten. So hang on to the map that comes with your welcome packet, huh? Everyone wants to know about reindeer. They will eat you. They eat elves like they're Funyuns. And they don't just eat you, they play reindeer games with you. And
I mean, deers are, as far as I'm aware, vegetarian, but then again, these are fucking souped up magical Christmas deer and shit, so I don't know.
I think it's more fucked up that they play with the bodies too.
All the carnivores like playing with their food. Even humans like playing with their food, and we're omnivores.
I don't think I've ever really played with my food.
Me either.
To be fair,
but
I'm always more concerned.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
I'm always more concerned of. I'm just trying to stuff it down because I never really have the time to actually enjoy my food most of the time.
I am the guy who this year had to repurpose a lightning rod for a Christmas tree, and you still managed to make me want to get up the world's smallest violin for you. God damn.
What? Time moves really fast for me. Okay, oftentimes I just feel like I gotta eat quick. And I do have to eat quick, actually.
If we ever do meet up in real life, I'm gonna cook for you just so that you will remember this and then fucking learn how to take some joy in life. God damn it.
I enjoy life. It's just recently I've been really busy, so I haven't. Shut up, okay?
Yeah, you don't like nice expensive things. You don't enjoy your food, apparently. Again, you make me want to, like, I am not a charitable person, but you make me want to make one of those In the Arms of the Angels commercials out of your shit sometimes.
I really hate that. I'm gonna be honest. I hate those. They're just so
Everyone
pretentious.
does. They are the most melodramatic pieces of shit, emotionally manipulative trash ever. But
I mean, I wouldn't say they're emotionally manipulative. I just think they're not handled well.
they're like the only thing more emotionally manipulative than the In the Arms of the Angels commercial, speaking of Christmas, is that stupid Christmas Shoes song. I hate that fucking thing so much.
I don't want to know.
Guilt Trip, the song. Anyway, candy canes.
Then they eat you. So find the reindeer pen on your map and stay away from it. Crevasses, they are everywhere. Don't bother looking on your maps. We didn't put them in because they are everywhere. And we no longer attempt to rescue fallen elves. Why, you ask? Just watch.
Honestly, yeah, it does kind of make sense. There are like major crevasses, as he says, in North Pole or Antarctica, really. So.
Yeah, Arctic. Yeah, so yeah.
I guess the real question is, why wouldn't you just have like an entire facility and basically the areas where the crevasses would be? I know he said everywhere, but still, it seems like they were just walking around randomly. So
you could fill the holes with something for infrastructure purposes, I would imagine. I'm also wondering, where the elf magic is coming in here, because one would assume that survival would be one of the things they would use their elf magic for. That reminds me, I watched the Jackie Chan Christmas special last night, and that show does one of the most badass versions of the elves. They don't make them the Sidhe, but they do demonstrate that elves apparently have a lot of innate magic to them, which is cool. Although it always makes me laugh in that episode when Dao Long Wong is surprised by elf magic, when my thought, being an occasionally evil motherfucker as I am, is like, okay, you're going after Santa in a universe where Santa is definitely real, and you didn't plan contingencies for elf magic? This seems sort of like a you had one job, Dao Long Wong situation.
Anyway. Well, again, I think these are like the very commercialized, so they're not really like magical.
Which is a shame. But anyway, candy canes.
Candy canes.
And now we honor all the elves who were eaten last year.
Okay, brought your IDs back and some papers.
Santa's coming! Okay, it's time to talk about Santa Claus.
Huh.
I
There's
am
blood
vaguely
on him, so
I'm vaguely horrified to figure out where this is fucking going. Or is that the end of the clip?
that's the end of it.
That's a shame. I feel like the Santa thing could have gone to some really dark, like, slave labor sweatshop places here, and they didn't do anything with
Well,
it.
no, it clearly was. It looked like they were kind of following the same trend of might have accidentally eaten elves or something, or could have been under some type of influence of something. Because, like I said, there was blood on him and looked like it came from him
Yeah,
specifically. So he could have had.
I just wish that the segment had continued long enough to actually pay that off a bit. At part of the Rick and Morty meme, comedy comes in threes, and we only had 2 things eating elves bits.
Well, crevasses. Was like, I think it's just like dangers or something. Anyway, that's kind of the end, I suppose. Kind of a short one. I will attest to that, and I apologize, but hopefully we make it a
I
little
should
longer
have.
Saturday.
I should have. Yeah, I should have found some more articles. I didn't. I didn't look at the length of the article they sent, so that was my bad. I
To be fair,
assumed that.
to be fair, I think blame kind of settle on both of us just because like we have been far too busy in our lives that we kind of the podcast kind of has fallen to the wayside.
Yeah, this fucking December, man. I tell you, it reminds me of that one Long December song. Maybe this year will be better than the last.
I fucking hate you. So yeah, with that, folks, I want to say goodbye, adios, aloha, avizai, sayonara, peace, cheers, and
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. Cheers, guys. And fuck off.